Welcome to the Louie Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. Here is how we do. This is what's going down between now and 1 o'clock. Coming up, 11:20-ish, our final title contender series. It's his dark horse. I'll let Greg McElroy from his Always College Football podcast, he'll explain it all to you. He had 15 legit teams he thought could win the national championship. He doesn't do way too earlys, but he shared 15, and today will be the final, the wild card team. He's saying they have a shot. At 11:35, Michael Earley met with the media. He will preview the Penn series, talk everything Aggie baseball. So listen in. Michael Earley, get you ready for the Aggie baseball weekend ahead. Weekend number 2 of the Aggie baseball season. At 11:55, high school sports update. That is thanks to Kelly Burtdozer. Every Friday, every Monday, 11:55. A&M Consolidated College Station High. Brian Rudder, the Brazos Valley. It's the high school sports update, thanks to Kelly Burtdozer. We will hit lunchtime, 12 till 1. Lunchtime on the Louie Bellina Show is thanks to Rudy's Barbecue. And on Fridays, noon till 1, Bryce Jones, Barbecue Pitmaster, joins me inside the Charles Schwab studio. Bryce and I talk a lot of Maroon and White, some Astros. We take your text messages and more. So Bryce Jones, noon till 1, inside the Charles Schwab studio each and every Friday. Today, and every day next week too, going to register one person to be a finalist. For what, Lou? Thank you for asking. To win a pair of tickets to go see Creed at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. And it is all thanks to Grocholski Sausage Company. You listen in each day. Sometimes you text. Sometimes it's caller 5. I don't know the when. I just know we will. And it's all thanks to Grocholski Sausage Company. Grocholski Sausage Company now has 2 locations. They got the OG, old school, the original location that's on South Main Street in Bremond, and they got the new one on South Main Street in Calvert. They've been around since 1952. Original, old school, again, Polish recipes. Check them out. That's Grocholski Sausage Company. I do want to share a number with you, a phone/text message number. 979-693-1150. 979-693-1150. You'll text. Texting is easy. Texting is fun. 979-693-1150. We'll begin our day. I think I spoke about this already last week, but Aggie Athletics and their rankings round up, and it brings home how great the spring sports are. Women's golf 4, equestrian 5, women's tennis is 5, men's indoor track and field 6, Aggie softball 13, men's tennis 16, women's indoor track and field 19, and Aggie baseball. On this graphic, it says 22. I thought D1 had them 24. Maybe there's another poll at 22, and I just always use D1. Who cares? Aggie baseball ranked 2. That's 8 different spring sports ranked anywhere from number 4 to number 24 in the country. And I just love that. I don't think they've ever done it before this year. Big fan. I see it on Facebook, see it on Twitter X. Kind of brings home how awesome springs are around Aggie land. Aggie softball open play, Cathedral City, playing number 14 Oregon, number 14 Duke, and they split the day. They got their first top 25 win. They almost had 2. They opened up with Oregon, and they lost a 2-1 thriller. It was a great game. They lost a 2-1 thriller. Both teams had 5 hits apiece. Aggies kind of stranded a small village. The only run for the Aggies, Michaela Wark, hit her 7th home run of the year, a solo shot. The game-winning run was a walk for Oregon. Walks are killers. Walks are killers. I already said that, didn't I? Walks are a killer. They brought in Munnerlyn. She only got an out. She walked a batter, gave up a hit, and that was the game-winning run in the bottom of the sixth, late. But the Aggies got their first-ranked dub, took on number 14 Duke in a very odd rematch because they faced Duke last weekend, and now they're facing Duke again. Same team, two different tournaments. And that one was 11-5. 11-5. And both teams had double-digit hits. This was about stranding small villages. It was. Michaela Wark goes yard again, and that was her 8th home run of the year. So she had back-to-back jacks. I mean games, not in back-to-back at-bats. She's off to a hot start. I believe that's 8 home runs in 12 games now for Texas A&M. And A&M again picked up their first ranked dub of the year. And they're not done with their work at Cathedral City at all, because they got like top 10 Nebraska on Saturday and number 11 in the country, UCLA, on Sunday. Tonight, they're playing like 10:30 Central Texas God time against UC San Diego. Doubleheader Saturday, then the single game against number 11 UCLA on Sunday. You can hear all those games over on Willie, 1550 AM. Aggie baseball back in action Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Bluebell Olsen, same weekend rotation as the opening weekend with Sadeo going on a Friday. Weston Moss takes the ball Saturday. Aiden Sims back on Sunday. Aiden Sims, he of the most brilliant of starts on the opening weekend. You will hear all those games here on The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Penn 6 on Friday night, 2 on Saturday, 1 o'clock on Sunday. I would go with the what do you want to see? It's simple. I would love to see Home Run Derby continue. You want to see the pitching improve. And it's not really more complicated than that, is it? The answer is nope. It's not more complicated than that. You want to see the pitching improve, Home Run Derby continue. You don't need more. Again, Aggies, big weekend. They're going to be, I believe it's Globe Life this year. They got UCLA. That's the big dog, plus Arizona State and Vatech too. But that's next weekend. Against Penn, Home Run Derby, pitching improve, ready break. That's what I'd love to see. Not sure about you. Something that caught my interest, ESPN did their draft prospect by tiers with the 60 FV, 55 FV, 50 FV. There's only one player on the 60 tier, one at the 55. That's the elite of elites. The shortstop for UCLA, Roch Chalosky, is the only player on the 60. And then shortstop, Fort Worth Christian High School kid, Grady Emerson, is a Texas commit, the only kid at 55. Neat. But here's your Aggies. Number 14 overall, Chris Hakopian. Number 25 overall, Caden Sorrell. Number 38 overall is Connor Comey, the shortstop at Anderson, who's an A&M commit. And number 53 overall, Gavin Grohovac, Texas A&M. And that's all 45 or higher tier on their scouting system. So ESPN grading top 100, I believe it was, MLB prospects for the upcoming draft. And those were the Aggies that registered, with Chris Hakopian at 14 being the highest graded Aggie baseball player. We continue. It's Maroon and White Notebook to open our day together here on the Louie Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. Aggie basketball will be back in action 7:30 tomorrow night. Norman, Oklahoma, to take on the Sooners. I will be 2,000,000% honest, which, I wouldn't be out here like lying to you, so why would I not be 200% honest with you? But I have 0.0% expectation what to expect tomorrow. The Aggies are tired. The Aggies are a bit dead-legged. Everything is struggle. That win Wednesday, yeah, saved the season. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, it was necessary. I mean, we could go on and on and on. That's for sure. Part of the fun of Buckyball year one. It was incredible. There's no doubt about that, right? They're 3-10 in SEC play. Their season's pretty much stick a fork. I don't even think they're an NIT team. Everyone's dangerous for this A&M basketball team right now. Really, all they need is one, maybe two players to get their legs back under them, and they can handle Oklahoma. They'll handle LSU at the end of the year. They just need that spark. One, two key players. Get their legs back. Get the energy back under them. That's all they need. In the current state they're in, every game is a challenge. Every game is a test. Every opponent is hard for them. Again, that's the base reality of where they're at. They should beat Oklahoma. I'm not even going to say could. It's road. Yeah, I know. Down the road. Still, it's road. I think it'll be the millionth time I'm going to say this. I'm just rooting hard. I love this team. I love Buckyball. You know, the first time they played at Reed, this is like a tough game. Another one. Late win for the Aggies. I think it was clear who the better team was, but this A&M team, this isn't the peak Buckyball either. 7:30 tomorrow night. You can hear that game on News Talk 1620, 94.5 WTAW. I decided to take a look this morning. Joe Lunardi, because he updates his bracketology quite a bit now as we head towards the madness of March. And the win over Ole Miss just kind of held serve for the Aggies, which is key because they didn't want to slide. They're still a 10 seed. They're still very bubbly. They're on the last four buys, second team on Joe Lunardi's bracketology. Last four buys, the second team on that line. Taking a look, you got Missouri on the last four in, second team. Who is the very first team out of the tournament? TCU. First team on the first four outline, TCU. First team on the first four outline is TCU. The Big Ten and the SEC, just like football dominating the postseason, man, is dominating the bids because there's 11 for the Big Ten and 11 for the SEC. We kind of don't care about all that. We care about, Buckyball, Texas A&M. And again, the win over Ole Miss stopped a bubbly slide, but still a 10, still last four buys, still on the bubble. Beating Oklahoma is kind of the same concept. This week was two games they couldn't lose. Here's the other thing I'm not worried is the way incorrect word. Here's the other thing I'm wondering about. Sometimes, and this is a sports thing, it's not a buckyball, it's not a basketball thing. Sometimes you just need to win. It's amazing how untired you are when you're not on a losing streak. Sometimes it's amazing how little fatigue you feel when you're winning, when things are going good, when you feel right from a win. So I'm dying to see the boost from not trying to not lose. Now it's about winning again. It's no longer about not losing. And even if the players don't embrace it as such, there's a burden that comes with that. And they were physically, they were mentally, they were fighting the losing streak all at once. And I think that was all part of what was going on. Now they're not on a losing streak. Tasted the win again. Can we see that kind of team tomorrow in Norman, Oklahoma? I think the answer is yes. I think they can play a little freer. They don't have to, push, stress as hard at all, actually. So I expect one of the better versions of this team that we've seen in about 2.5, 3 weeks tomorrow in Norman. Because I expect a load to have been lifted. When we return, up next on the Louie Bellina Show from inside the Charles Schwab studio, college football, Greg McElroy, always college football. The final, I'm almost sad saying that, title contender series. His dark horse. Not going to ruin it for you. It's the Louie Bellina Show, Friday on The Zone.
All right, listen up, class.
The money machine is open now. Make sure to enter each week.
Everyone comes out a winner.
At zone1150.com or through the Zone newsletter to win $5,000.
The Louie Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric, built on faith, family, community. Tell you what, it's time. Caller 5-979-693-1150. You're going to be registered. You're going to have a chance to win a pair of tickets to go see Creed at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. 979-693-1150. 979-693-1150. You probably recognize that as the D4 Land Services hotline number because it is. And I've always said you can win, you can register, guest join me, you can talk to me on the D4 Land Services hotline. 979-693-1150. Dial now. Get registered. Caller 5. You're going to make the list. Every day this week, every day next week. We've been registering one person per day for a chance to win a pair of tickets to go see Creed at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. And it is all thanks to Groholski Sausage Company. Groholski Sausage Company, they're artisans of homemade smoked meat products and custom processing since 1952. They got two locations. One, South Main Street, Bremont. That's their original location. And the newest is South Main Street and Calvert. Call now. Caller 5 now. You're registered. Your name moves forward. You got a chance to win a pair of tickets to see Creed at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, thanks to Groholski Sausage Company. Time now. The final title contender series listening from Greg McElroy is always, college football podcast. This is his dark horse team.
All right, our final national championship contender gauntlet here on Always College Football, and this one might surprise you. We're going to head to the rolling hills, beautiful part of our country, central Pennsylvania. We're going to go to Happy Valley. I'm going to tell you right now, if you haven't checked the news in the last few weeks, last month, or maybe you've kind of moved away a little bit, you're probably not going to recognize the Penn State team that we have come to know over the last decade and change. I want you to think about everything you know about Penn State football right now and kind of put it in a box. The high-level recruiting, the elite versus great press conferences, you can set all that aside. Because the James Franklin era, it didn't just end. I mean, it is gone, like immediately gone. And in its place, we have something that feels a lot more like a Saturday morning in Ames, Iowa, than a sunny afternoon there in Beaver Stadium. So the Nittany Lions, for the first time in over a decade, we're not talking about climbing the mountain. We're talking about a complete reset. Matt Campbell is now the head coach of the Nittany Lions. And if you're a Penn State fan, your first reaction might be, wait, hang on. We went from a guy who recruits annual top 5, top 10 classes to a guy that has been super developmental in the Big 12 for the last handful of years. Yes, you did. And while the national media is kind of calling it a, quote, rebuild, I'm here to tell you that Matt Campbell didn't come to State College to just build a foundation. He brought the whole house with him. And this is, in many ways, Iowa State East. And if you think that's a step down, then I don't think you realize how hard it is to just start from scratch and bring these pieces from all over the place. I mean, look at Indiana, for example. Indiana brought Curt Cignetti in, and with Curt Cignetti came 14 James Madison players, and then 2 years later, they win the national championship. So familiarity with the personnel that you recruited is pretty beneficial. But we have to talk about the engine when we look at what Penn State can be. Because when James Franklin left for Virginia Tech, the quarterback room in Happy Valley, it was a little bit difficult to figure out. Drew Aller was gone. The depth chart was thin. People were a little concerned. But Matt Campbell didn't go into the portal for a one-year rental. He brought his guy. That's Rocco Beck. Now, Rocco Beck is a veteran. He's a winner. He's a guy that took Iowa State to heights that is not something that we saw an awful lot of in Ames. And more importantly, he already speaks the language. I mean, he knows what Matt Campbell wants. He knows the calculus that they're going to try to implement offensively. He knows exactly when to take that check down. He knows exactly when to hunt for the deep post. And in a season where so many teams are trying to integrate a mercenary quarterback from the portal, Penn State has a starter who's been in the system for a really long time. That continuity by itself is probably worth a couple wins. Now, Beck isn't necessarily going to blow you away with this 70-yard laser over the top, but he's probably going to be one of the most efficient quarterbacks Penn State has had since Trace McSorley. I mean, he is going to be the adult in the room. And for a program that went through kind of the coaching blender this offseason, this is exactly what the doctor ordered, for sure. And if you know Matt Campbell, you know there's two things that he loves. He loves a very hard-nosed defense. He loves length at tight end, lots and lots of tight ends. Penn State has claimed in the past the tight end U title. Matt Campbell, he's been right there at Iowa State the last few years. He brings in Benjamin Brahmer with him from Iowa State, and Brahmer is just a tight end. I mean, he is a 6'7" matchup nightmare that's going to be a real focal point in this offense, and you can expect to see heavy tight end usage with multiple tight end personnel groupings. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if there's a way that Matt Campbell finds a way to put 4 tight ends on the field at once. Like, it would not be a surprise to me whatsoever. They want to create mismatches. They want to force you to play heavy, and they want Rocco Beck to find Brahmer on a seam route while the linebacker is trying to figure out which gap to fill. Now, it's not necessarily always going to be super flashy. It's not always going to be, big play after big play after big play. It's going to be kind of a grit and grind approach. They're going to try to possess the ball for 35, 36, 37 minutes. They're going to frustrate you, and they want to win games 24-17. So it's a little bit of a shift that might take a bit to adjust to, but it's a shift that should win in November, one that you feel pretty good about there at Penn State. So let's flip the script to the defense, because there was a pretty significant exodus of defensive players that decided to leave when James Franklin left. It was not a good day on the depth chart when you look at all the guys that left. But Penn State did go out and retain a very important piece. That's Tony Rojas, who there at the second level, he's going to be the heartbeat of the defense. And he's going to be in there and kind of anchor this Matt Campbell era. He's a really good starting point for this signature 3-3-5 defensive structure that they've used with success in Ames for quite some time. He's a guy that can play sideline to sideline. He can blitz. He can drop into coverage. So you got Rojas there at the second level. You got some pieces coming in along the front. You got Granville up front off the edge. You have a really solid foundation defensively. And while Matt Campbell's defenses have always been bend, don't break, with the athletes that Penn State has access to, they might be a don't bend and definitely don't break type of defense. I mean, they can take the next step more so than they were able to in the past. And if they can find some consistency in the back end and they added some portal pieces, they will be in every single game in the schedule. And if you look at the schedule, that's where you got to be pretty optimistic. That's pretty optimistic. We'll get to that here in just a minute. Now, to be the analyst, I have to kind of point out the concerns. And we've talked about the Ames to State College Express, but there is one part of the train that is still very much up in the air, because Penn State lost a lot of really good pieces along the offensive line. And in the Big Ten, you better be good up front, because if you're not, you're going to have your hands full. That's for sure. If you can't block, you can't breathe in that league. So Matt Campbell, he knows this position group really, really well. He's brought in some portal bodies, but there's no quick fix to offensive line chemistry. Rocco Beck's a veteran, but even a veteran can't make plays if he's getting hit under 2 seconds after the snap. So it's going to take a little time, but I'm pretty optimistic about what that group might be able to be. And with Rocco Beck being able to call the shots there as a extension of the coaching staff on the field, he should be able to iron out some of the challenges that they might have in creating that chemistry. Because the first month of the season against the likes of Marshall and maybe Northwestern, it'll be kind of like training camp for this offensive line. But if they can't find a rhythm by the time they get to that October gauntlet, doesn't matter how many great tight ends you have on the field, you're not going to be as good offensively as you'd like to be. So that might be the biggest X factor for the Nittany Lions this year, is continuity along the offensive line. Now let's look at the calendar, because the schedule makers apparently really like Matt Campbell. Understandably, he's one of the most likable coaches there is. He has arguably the most manageable. There are no easy schedules in the Big Ten. There are no easy schedules in the Power Four, not with how big these conferences have gotten and the travel challenges that exist in the Big Ten specifically. So there's no easy schedule, but it might be the most manageable schedule amongst the major contenders in college football this year. You avoid Indiana, you avoid Ohio State, you avoid Oregon. So let that sink in for a second. The three of maybe the biggest hurdles in the conference are already off the table. You're at Northwestern on a Friday night, and that'll be the debut of Northwestern's new Ryan Field. So that's going to be a very difficult environment. But Penn State, all in all, should probably have a little better personnel. You have USC that comes to you, which should be fascinating to see Gary Patterson against Matt Campbell and to see that matchup. And of course, anytime you get SC against Penn State, like that's stop what you're doing, must see television. And then you're at Michigan. So this could be one of the games of the year for Penn State. Kyle Whittingham and what he's installing at Michigan against Matt Campbell. It's going to be a 60-minute fist fight in the mud in that game, I can assure you. So if Penn State can just split those two games against SC and Michigan, I mean, the rest of the schedule is pretty manageable. I mean, there is a realistic path right now to 10-2. And in the 12-team playoff era, a 10-2 Penn State is a lock for a playoff spot, and potentially even better than that, maybe even a home playoff game. So putting a bow on the 2026 Nittany Lions, they are a smart, solid football team. They're not going to necessarily be a real sexy pick. No one's going to put them in their preseason top 5, but currently with odds sitting in some places at around 70-1, if you look at the coaching, you look at the veteran quarterback, you look at the schedule, you see a team that might be designed to kind of stay in the hunt. They're not going to beat themselves. They're not going to have meltdowns and big moments. They're going to be boringly, frustratingly, and consistently good. Matt Campbell has his guy, he has his system, and there is a realistic path. So don't be surprised when December rolls around and Penn State is in a position to host a home playoff game when everyone's still trying to figure out what happened the year before. So I'm really optimistic about Penn State, partly because of the schedule, mostly because of Matt Campbell and some of the continuity that's been created with some of the guys he's added to the roster. That concludes our championship contender series. All right, we've been to the Shoe, we've been to the Big House, we've been to the Plains, the Bayou, we've been to the Valley.
That wraps up. He said it himself. Greg McElroy, phenomenal series. A&M was like 2 Fridays ago. If you were kind of pondering, wondering, we did A&M then. That's when he did it, and it has been a phenomenal listen-in. Greg McElroy talking ball, previewing the teams, breaking them down, and I got a sneaky feeling he'll probably update it after spring football is done, and magically, even though there's no more transfer window, I bet you players still end up transferring magically somehow. Not the same volume of players, but it will still happen. That's a Louie Bellina prediction. Take it for what it's worth. Up next, when we return here on the Louie Bellina Show from inside the Charles Schwab studio, Louie Bellina Show on, I'm still going with Friday. Michael Earley, A&M baseball coach, yesterday met with the media. He will preview the Penn weekend and more. That's what's next on a Friday here on The Zone.
You can hear Aggie baseball online at RadioAggieland.com. RadioAggieland.com.
The Louie Bellina Show still to come on a Friday, 11:55 high school sports update. Thanks to Kelly Burke Dozer every Friday, every Monday. 11:55 high school sports update thanks to Kelly Burke Dozer. There's more. 12-1 that entire time, 12-1, the entire lunch hour on a Friday. Barbecue Pit Master Bryce Jones joins us inside the Charles Schwab studio. Right now, time now, a listen in. Michael Earley, A&M baseball coach, at his media day. He previews Penn and more.
We're talking to Nico here in a bit, right?
Yes.
You know, just with him in particular, I know we've talked a lot about the freshman, but with him and his glove, just what are some of the tangible skills that he possesses that he's such an effective fielder there at that third base spot?
Yeah, I think right now, I mean, to this point, he's just made the routine plays. I mean, balls that have been hit at him, he picked them up and threw them to first base. And since he's been here, he's had an accurate arm, and want him to keep that up. But it's just been one of those things where he's had some plays that he should make hit at him, and he's made them, and that's really all you can ask for.
You guys still anticipating that he'll see some time on the mound? Is that still in the cards, or?
It's definitely in the cards. When is, you know, we really value him at third and in the lineup, and we like our pitching, and he will pitch at some point because he's got to get the work in because we feel like we will need him at some point, but we are in no way rushing into that or feel a need to get him in a game at this point. Could that change very quickly? Yes, with how weekends go and how many arms you use up in the first couple days.
You have the good problem of a lot of guys who are seeing the ball really well. How difficult is it right now to make a lineup and try to keep some of these guys on the streaks they're on?
A couple of those spots are difficult. Some of them aren't really too difficult at all. It's pretty cut and dry for me. But yeah, it's good. I like where they're at. Like, they did some things. Tuesday was fine. I think we should have made some adjustments a little bit earlier. But that's baseball, man. It's tough game. 4 games, or what is it, 5 games? Jeez, you do your math, Michael. 4 games in 5 days. I thought they got done what they needed to get done and executed when they needed to execute. But yeah, it's tough. It's like you feel like, Tuesday you were, and he scored 8 runs, right? And the pitching pitched well. So I think they've done a good job to this point, and we just got to continue to build off it and get better.
Back to Nico, when you have a guy that was a shortstop and a high velocity thrower, and now he goes to the corner and it's a different situation throwing the baseball. It seems like he knows when he needs to bring it and when it's, hey, I can just make the routine play. Is that something that he went too quickly, or is it something that y'all had to work on?
I think I know him and Cliff put in a ton of work, and it is different because going from shortstop in high school to third base in college, it happens a lot quicker. And sometimes when it happens quick, then it gives you time, right? So it's a different balance of how you play. And I know him and Cliff have put in a ton of work, and he's definitely got better at it since he's been here. When he first got here, we really worked the guys, and Cliff worked the guys at all 3 positions, and he got some time at shortstop. But I would say the bulk of his time was at third, and then when we got back into spring, the majority of it has been at third, if not almost all of it. I know they do some work, though, every day where guys touch every single position just so they can stay sharp just in case.
Weekend 2 for your starting pitchers here. Is there any metrics or benchmarks you want to see from these guys that you're charting, or is it more so, hey, just go out there and have another good outing, in weekend 2?
You said starting pitchers or pitchers? Starting pitchers for me, it's keep us in the game and give us some length. So you can get those, we can get to the 5th or 6th inning, that's doing your job. And then, the plus would be, Aiden Sims 1 hit, not giving up anything or giving up whatever happened. But yeah, just, giving us length so we don't have to go to the bullpen early is the biggest. And then, obviously really good performances, and these guys continuing to get better and give us those, we love a dominant performance. We'll take it anytime we can. But I think length for a starting pitcher just helps you out for the entire weekend.
Coach, what's the latest on Chris Okogie?
Yeah, I just saw him hit off the tee. He's feeling a little better. It's one of those things where, we have a sense of urgency to get him in there, but also, we have a long way to go. We want to make sure we don't have any setbacks. I'd love to see him play this weekend. I'd say tomorrow's up in the air and every day moving forward, but we just want to make sure he's good to go and healthy because we're going to need this guy, and he really changes our team and can help us win a ton, and we don't want to have anything linger that we could have really got ahead of this early in the season.
Is the lower back with him?
It's lower to mid. So yeah, stuff I've seen a ton. It's one of those. My back hurts sometimes, right? So it's just you give it a few days and kind of get it under control. He should be all right.
You mentioned Cliff Pennington working with the guys in the infield, but what have you seen from him in his first 4 games with you, helping run this offense?
Oh, he does a great job. It's really cool having him, and he's just made my, game experience and job just a lot easier. Just the things he does now that I don't do anymore, and he does a lot better job at him. And he's really good third base coach. He's really good with scouting report on the opposing pitchers, everything. I handle how they throw to the batter. He handles everything else. Defensive positioning, him and JK communicate a ton on that. He's just a really good baseball guy and a really good coach. And he's got a steady presence during a game, which you don't know about until you coach with someone. This thing's not moving fast for him, right? Completely in control of what he does, whether it be at third base or over there moving infielders and just some of the language and how he talks to guys during the games. Like it's awesome to have him on our team.
What do you see from the Penn team you're going to face this weekend?
I admire their program a ton. Honestly, it started when they came in here and beat us, and the type of players they had and how they, I asked those guys, and I said it on the radio this morning. I've asked, and even Shot, because I think Columbia's, they're really similar programs. But just talking to Jackson and Wyatt, like why were you guys so team? Like it's just such a buy-in, and you feel it, and you feel like they're never out of it. And that's the thing. Like to me, they got some good players, but their strength to me and their program has been built on just team. Like guys willing to do anything for the team. From their two-strike approach to just the effort that they play with. Like we want to be like that, right? Like we can't be out-teamed by them. You know what I mean? We need baseball to figure it out. We can't let those little things that they do really well, that they care about a ton, be the reason that they beat us.
Are Jackson and Wyatt going to throw the first pitch?
Jackson is already at spring training, and I've arranged Wyatt will throw out the first pitch tomorrow. So he better throw a strike, or I will boo him. He's not giving me any info. He's staying right in the middle, which is fine.
Do you look back at that time when Penn beat you? Is that a good reminder, I guess, of kind of where the program is now, or where you want to be, I guess, as opposed to what happened last time?
It's just a little bit. I remember at the time, that was in 22, correct, right? That team was started off like a little rocky, and they came in here, beat us, and then I think we lost some more games. I think it's just a reminder, just in today's college baseball, and as you start watching these games, or maybe you personally as a coach feel like you just played a midweek that was too close, and then you turn on someone else and you're like, they played a close game. I just think it's a reminder that it's baseball and anyone can beat anyone, right? And it's not necessarily who the better team is or who's perceived to be the better team, but who's the better team on that day, who gets the big hit, what ball falls, did you play fundamentally? I think it's cool to have him back in here. Like I remember being extremely upset when they beat us, right? And I haven't forgotten it. So it'll be good. It'll be good. I want to beat them as much as any other team, but that was, I had to hear about it for 2 years from Jackson and Wyatt, and them coming here is a big reason why those guys ended up at A&M too. So it's all positive, but really looking forward to playing them.
How do you evaluate what you've seen from Darden so far? Even the other day when he gave up the lead, but you get a runner at third, nobody out, and he gets 2 strikeouts. And does his role morph? You've had some good middle, long relievers that have been key roles since you've been here. Yeah,
I think it's really going to be what the game. What the game tells us. It could be earlier, it could be later. It's really going to depend on the matchup, what length we think we can get out of him in that part of the order. I think, you could see him for multiple or just for a brief stint, depending on where we are in the game, just kind of like the other day. It was Darden. Then we really liked Vargas, where they were. And Darden had just, he had just thrown. And getting Juan in there and following it up with Fresh. It's going to be a little bit of a hybrid. JK's got these guys in a position right now where they can do a lot. Like they've all kind of been extended, probably more so than they would be used in the season. Part of the reason for doing that is 4 innings against your own team, no matter how you spin it. When you throw 4 innings against someone else, it just feels different. Like you can't account for that adrenaline that it's hard to replicate in practice. So by extending them, it helps them in those shorter stints, just because they are going to be a little emotionally gassed, and it just is what it is. So we think we've done a really good job of just preparing these guys to throw as much as we possibly think they can throw in a season.
Cool touch to have.
Or in a game, not a season.
Cool touch to have Troy back in 12 over there. What was kind of the backstory of getting that number back on him?
I just I didn't play here, right? Like I didn't play here, but I just think this program and like the players that have played here, like you should see, a lot of them have left, but how cool it is to have all the pro guys here in the morning. Like I looked down today and I saw Jack Moss, right? And you got Justin Lampkin's around, and just guys all over the place that played here. And I think if you played here and you're on the staff here, like you should wear the number that you had when you played here. And there's no rule against a coach and a player wearing the same number, And I wanted Cliff, didn't care about 5, but I thought it was important. He wore 5 when he played here, and Troy wore 12, and I just think it's super cool. That was their number when they played here, and I think that's the number they should wear. And Troy's the first one, so I think it makes it, a little extra. It's awesome to have Troy on staff. Troy's one of those coaches one of those players I coach. He's one of about 4 that, as soon as I coach him, get a little bit of time with him, man, if this guy chooses to be a coach, if I can't talk him out of doing that, he'd be a really, really good one.
So no quick punt return changes, for to get the guy on the base.
No. I don't think we want Troy on the bases. If you remember, he's pretty station to station, but he had a knack to get the big hit.
Anything else?
That wraps up our listen in. Michael Earley, A&M baseball head coach. Again, his media day in advance of the Penn weekend, talked about them and so much more. It is the Louie Bellina Show from inside the Charles Schwab studio. Low cost, full service, best of all local. How is Charles Schwab local? Because we got Mark Sim right here in College Station. Find him online at schwab.com/College Station. Charles Schwab and Company Incorporated, member SIPC. When we return, done. We'll wrap up our first hour together. When we return, high school sports update thanks to Kelly Burt Dozer. It is the Louie Bellina Show, Friday on The Zone.
Your home for Aggie baseball is the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
The Louie Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric, residential, commercial, and industrial services. What they do at CC Electric. Kind of want to wrap things up, having just a skosh of fun, if that's cool with you. 2 headlines I saw this week. I could share just the headlines, and that's enough. But really, they've stuck with me all week long. Here's the first one. IMG, and that's the Sports Academy, right? IMG to pay $1.72 million fine for accepting tuition from parents tied to Mexican cartel. IMG to pay $1.72 million fine for accepting tuition from parents tied to Mexican cartel. OFAC, which is the Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC announced a week ago that on 89 occasions, IMG accepted tuition, lodging, and other payments from students' parents, and this was from 2019 to 2025. That was a violation of the Foreign Narcotics Kingpin Designation Act. Headline number 2. And this one, I think it was Ryan Starr over on Candy 95. Ryan Starr, who hosts Chip Howard Sports Talk today, 4 to 6, and I think Riley's with him today. But this headline: 2 more Georgia football players arrested on driving-related charges. And I went, wait, is it a day that ends in Y? I know the smart aleck response, but still. It had been at least a month. I mean, it had been way too long. But yes, I think it was Wednesday night. 2 more Georgia football players are arrested on driving-related charges. Again, it's the kickoff of spring football, a tradition unlike any other, a day that ends in Y. 2 more Georgia football players arrested on driving-related charges. Junior linebacker Chris Cole, 4th on the team in tackles last year, and sophomore edge Darren Inkabong was arrested and charged with 3 misdemeanors: reckless driving, speeding, and following too closely. You talk about team culture, something about Georgia and cars is definitely team culture. And I do ponder this on a more serious note. Kirby Smart really helpless to stop this, because at this point it is at a different level. And you would think that if he wanted to, if it was like DEFCON priority 1 kind of thing to him, that he would have. Or is it just he's not going to, if there's a 5-star, it's not a deal breaker for him. Like, he has this 5-star who's going to start in year 1, has an NIL that fits their salary cap. And then during the hangout part, he goes, "Do you race cars?" And the 5-star goes, "Every day." And Kirby's like, "I need him too much." You know, any kind of research, like what kind of car does he have? I mean, could maybe give you some insight. Have you ever lost your keys in a race? 3. Probably shouldn't recruit him. No, he's going to be our backup corner when we do the nickel Red Dog package. Oh, no, never mind. I would think that Kirby could have stopped this by now. Tap in College Station, maybe the text message of the day. I'm now going to bet on Georgia for the Natty. So, Tap, are you saying it's like sacrifice a bulldog to the racing gods and bam, done? That's all they need? Because that was 2 bulldogs right there. 979-693-1150. Again, that's my 2 headlines of the week. And, we're deep in the... deep. Yeah, we're deep. Are we deep in the offseason? We're deep in the offseason. But IMG, but Georgia, 2 players, driving related, arrested, not just ticketed, arrested. They were reckless driving, speeding, and following too closely. It's good to know the more things change. Nah, it doesn't work like that. Okay, when we return, Bryce Jones inside the Charles Schwab studio the entire lunch hour. I forgot something. I've got a pair of tickets to A&M Penn baseball Saturday. Listen in to win. That'll be noon till 1. The ticket booth will be open thanks to Dixie Tire Company. Dixie Tire Company, local family, been around 36 plus years now. So A&M Penn, the Saturday game to be specific. Listen in to win, noon till 1. I'll be right back.
I'm Caleb Rapley with your high school sports update on The Zone, brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer. In high school basketball, the boys' regular season came to a close on Tuesday with A&M Consolidated beating Rudder 107-60, College Station getting the win over Montgomery 66-59, and Bryan winning 72-62 against Copperas Cove. For Rudder, Bryan, and College Station, that is the end of the year for them as they did not qualify for the postseason. Bryan finished 5th in their district, College Station was 6th, and Rudder was 7th. The Lake Creek Lions were the winners of 5A District 17. A&M Consolidated finished tied for 2nd place with Brenham and Huntsville, but with the UIL playoff format splitting the 4 playoff teams into D1 and D2 brackets, the Tigers are a 1 seed in the 5A Division I bracket. Consol takes on Kingwood Park for their first-round matchup. That game takes place Tuesday night in Magnolia. On the girls' side, the first-round matchups were earlier this week. Starting with the 5A Division I bracket, College Station beat Crosby 49-38. They will take on Westbrook in the second round. A&M Consolidated got a 38-35 win over Porter. Next up for the Lady Tigers is LaPorte. Over in 6A, Bryan had their season come to an end as they lost to Duncanville 79-31. The high school baseball season is now in full swing with all 4 of our local teams participating in tournaments this weekend. Yesterday, A&M Consolidated got wins over Little Elm and Wiley with scores of 11-1 and 7-5 respectively. Consol just finished their early game from this morning. They lost to Hallsville 5-3. The Rudder Rangers dropped 2 in their opening day doubleheader, losing to Mag West 2-1 and 1-0 to number 10 in the state, Highland Park. College Station split their games on day 1, losing to Magnolia West, but getting a big win over the number 8 team in the state in Friendswood, a 9-1 victory for the Cougars. College Station and Rudder just concluded their game, which started at 9 a.m. this morning. The Cougars got the 4-3 win. Bryan went 2-0 in their first 2 games at the Waco ISD tournament, beating Elgin 4-3 and